From Confusion to Conclusion, How to Write a First-Class Essay by Vlad Mackevic. This e-course is presented to you in association with thelectureroom.co.uk and firstyearcounts.com. Enjoy listening. Welcome back to our e-course on essay writing. In part 4 we are dealing with the assignment question. The assignment question arguably is the most important part of the assignment because everything, the introduction, the main body, the conclusion, every sentence, every paragraph, every section of your assignment must contribute to the sole purpose answering the question. That's why we're going to dedicate this part and the next one to understanding, shaping, breaking down, and answering assignment questions. Now, roughly speaking, all academic writing can be divided into two groups: set topic assignments and free topic assignments. In a set topic assignment, you are already given the question. You know what you're going to write about, all you need to do is break it down and answer it. In a free topic assignment, you need to do all of that, but you also need to create a question of your own. So in these two parts, we're going to be dealing with set topic assignments mostly. I say that any assignment question is made of three essential components: the object of the study, the context of the study, and the method of the study. When you look at an assignment question, to understand what your lecturer wants from you, you need to find these three components, locate them, isolate them, and then it's much easier to understand. So let's look at some examples. I want to get you into a right mindset, train you a little bit, and I'm going to use some examples, real essay titles. Let's look at the first one. Modern organizations often replace the traditional hierarchical structure with a more horizontal team structure. Select two motivational theories from the field of organizational psychology and discuss how they can be applied in a team-based organization. Now, it's quite a mouthful, and it's quite a complicated essay question. The first thing you need to look for are action verbs, verbs in the imperative. In this case, you have two: select and discuss. Select is quite simple. You need to select two motivation theories. Discuss is a bit more complicated, and I'm going to talk about it later in this video. So the object of the study, let's locate the object. The object are two motivation theories from the field of organizational psychology. This is what you need to select. This is what you need to discuss. However, you can't write everything you know about motivation theories. You have to discuss them in a particular context. And the context of the study, in this case, is made of two parts. You have modern organizations, we're talking about what's happening now, and we're talking about the fact that they replace the traditional structure, the hierarchical one, with a more horizontal team structure. And this is your context. These are the events that are happening. This is the when and the what and the where. These are the events in the context of which you need to analyze your two theories. And finally, the method. Discuss. Discuss how these theories can be applied in a team-based organization in this context. Now, the word discuss is a bit more complicated than it seems. The word discuss, roughly speaking, means present two opposing points of view. In this case, in this essay question, you need to argue to what extent those theories can be applied in this context of organizations replacing one structure with another. In other words, you need to be aware of what a hierarchical structure is, what a team-based structure is. You need to have very clear definitions of these two contexts. Know the differences between them and see whether those theories can be applied in both contexts equally. And of course, there are two answers. Yes, it is the case, they can be applied, and here are the reasons: reason A, reason B, reason C. On the other hand, it's not the case, they can't be applied. And you have three reasons again. The number of reasons does not have to be equal, but in the British educational system, you need to present two opposing points of view. You don't have to agree with both of them. There can be 6 reasons for and 1 reason against. The main objective is to show your lecturer that you are aware that 2 points of view exist. This was what discuss means. I know that there are 2 points, and I'm going to present a balanced opinion. The next example. Do you agree with Hedley Bull's comment that the notion of international society has always been present in the world political system? The object of the study is quite simple, international society. But if you don't know what it is, it's best to define it in the beginning. Telling your lecturer, this is my definition, this is what I read, this is how I understand it. The context. The context here is made of 2 parts. First of all, you have Hedley Bull. This is the name of a researcher, and this is something very important. Whenever you encounter a name of a researcher, or a theory, or some kind of a framework, a school of thought, in an essay title, you have to find as much as possible about that school of thought, about that researcher, what their works are, what their main ideas are, because this will form, as you can see from the question, this forms a part of your answer. And now, the physical context, that was the theoretical context. The physical context is expressed in this phrase, has always been present in the world political system. The word always here is a bit deceptive. You can't write about the entire history of world politics century by century. Of course you can't. You need to select some peak points, some key events, and discuss those in isolation. And this is where you need to be selective. This is where your critical thinking also comes into view. Being selective about your framework. What are you discussing exactly? You can't discuss all the events in the context of your study. You have to select a few examples and use them to illustrate your points, use them to illustrate your arguments. And finally, the method. Do you agree? And once again, you can answer yes or no. Yes, I agree. No, I don't agree. You need to present both views. You need to present arguments that it is the case, yes, it has always been present. On the other hand, you have to try to find arguments that say no, it hasn't been present, and here's why. It's totally possible that you will find evidence for both sides of the argument in the literature. However, what is the most important thing is to present 2 opposing points of view. In other words, to show your lecturer that you are aware, yes, I am aware, the 2 points of view exist. So this is it. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in part 5. This course was presented to you in association with thelectureroom.co.uk and firstyearaccounts.com. Please feel free to check out our websites. Also, feel free to like our Facebook pages, facebook.com/thelectureroom1 for the lecture room and facebook.com/first.year.counts for firstyearaccounts.com.